Okay, we're back. And we were just talking about prefixes and suffixes and adding multiple. Well, you know what? They have one for INGS. But say you didn't know or you couldn't remember which one was for INGS. Well, I went through there and put W, push W, opened up the box, put G, went back to the word, pushed W again, selected S, it added the S. Now I have wantings, whatever, happenings, or whatever you want to do, where there's two suffixes on that word. Does that make sense to you guys? Two different suffixes that could be. It's one suffix, but I mean it could be two standalone suffixes that you could put in there. But that's how you would do it.
The shortcut D. And of course these suffixes were added with the proper spelling adjustments. Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth e-power video tutorial which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
All right. Any questions about that? Prefixes, suffixes. How do you get into prefix, suffix, and hyperkeys? Slick. How you do it? How do you do it? You. W. Okay. Just want to make sure that you guys are listening, paying attention. I know you are. Deep in thought. Okay. Any questions?
Let's see some of the ways that AutoMagic helps you prevent spelling errors as you work. Word reversals are just one of the small problems that AutoMagic understands.
This is actually, you need to write this down and use that because you're going to use it quite a bit. Is it, it is she is, and you need it reversed. That's how you reverse it. And it'll keep toggling until you get the one that you want. Does that make sense to you guys? It's just going to keep switching it over until you get the one that you want. So it's Shift R. Shift R is the reverse for two words. So you need to have your cursor on the word that you need to shift with ahead of. Does that make sense? So if you need to shift these two words, then your cursor needs to be here on she. Your cursor can't be on is, on I, and you want to shift she is, because it's going to shift is and still. Okay? So you need to be on the word that's before the word that you want to shift with. Okay? Make sense?
This question should have been, is she still working there? Pressing 5 is a fast way to reverse these words.
So that's also what you could have done right there too. Okay? And a lot of times it'll know kind of what you want to do. Well, do you want to shift R right there? Or just press 5, it'll automatically shift it. But it may not give you that example. You know, it may have some totally different examples over here of she's, she is, she was, he is, shes, whatever. Okay? I don't even know what that is.
It's like a couch, but it doesn't have
a shay?
Shaylon? Yeah, that.
That's C-H-E-Z, isn't it?
Oh,
And then
I'm not looking up there, so I thought that's.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know what shes is, but
Let me Google.
maybe it's multiple she's. Yeah, the she's want to go too. What's that?
Is it S-H-E-A? I can't see.
S-H-E-S.
Oh.
Yeah, shes.
It says it's the plural of she.
Of she?
She's, yeah.
More than one she?
Yeah.
Once again, Clearly, I have never written that word in the 23 years that I've been a reporter. So, but if you do, that's the way you do it.
People who English is not their first language
Holla.
say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you stare
Trust me, guys. Trust me. And you're going to hear it every day. Every day. That people don't use correct English. Okay? And it's not your job to correct them.
You're writing even if it's not taken.
Your job is to take down what they say. Okay?
So even if we, so if they say it wrong, you know, can you put in a hyphen like they really probably meant to say this word? But
Remind me, and I'm going to give you some examples after we go off the camera. But I'll give you some examples later. I mean, because we're kind of getting away from what we're supposed to do. But there's some different things. Okay? So just remind me, and I'll let you know. All right?
If is a fast way to reverse these words. This should have been working, but I need a different suffix.
So you understand what they're trying to do right there? You could have your cursor there, push W for prefix suffix, push G, puts working. Or you can come over here. W is trying to tell you right here. The auto magic keys is going to let you know. Do you want it? Number 2. You just push number 2, opens up prefix suffix. So if you forget, then it's telling you right here, this is what it is. You can push number 2, opens it up, or you just press W and it'll open it up for you. So it always gives you the answer over here as to what the speed key is. Okay?
Pressing 2 here would be a fast way to pick suffix ing. Here's another suffix problem. This should have been on the form. Yes. Pressing 3 make.
So say you added it and you wanted it to be farm. Well, you know, maybe the auto intelligence is already working ahead. So it's giving you different examples of what would make sense right there. Did you mean on the farm or did you mean on the farming? Maybe you did mean on the farming. Maybe they said that. On the farming, that's what we do. You write what they say.
On the subject of farming.
You didn't say that. You said on the farming.
I understand that, but
On the farming, that's how we do it.
yeah.
Maybe that's how you do it on the farming. I don't know. But on the farm, that's not how we do it. But if that's what it's supposed to be, then it's giving you the example right there as number 3. Okay?
The form, yes. Pressing 3 makes that correction. And now AutoMagic sees that I may need a comma in front of yes. Pressing a comma would quickly insert the comma in the proper spot. Compound words are another problem. Sometimes it may be that 2 words need to be joined as one, or that 1 word needs to be split.
So you see what they're doing right here? Outstanding is a word, but that's not the way that it's supposed to be written there. You see that? She was out standing by in the field. Seriously? Maybe she was standing in the field.
But how would you know if somebody meant that when they said it?
Well, I don't know. That's a subject for after we get off the thing. So, but that's what they meant. She was out standing in the field. And it's going to show you a little red line under the word when it doesn't understand what you're trying to do there, or if it's even a word. So it's going to show you, like on proper names, Eclipse is always going to underline if it doesn't understand what you're doing. If it's not in your dictionary, you don't put it in your dictionary, it's always going to underline it. So you're going to know that something's misspelled usually there. Well, guess what? Outstanding isn't misspelled. Okay? That is a word. But it's not correctly used there. She was outstanding. Not outstanding. Maybe she was outstanding in the field. Maybe she was. Maybe she did something in the field that she was outstanding for. that's not what they meant right here. Okay? So it's always thinking ahead, giving you different examples of, does it need to stand alone as two different words? Okay?
Attention 2. Pressing choice 1 here corrects this unintended compound. This should have been she was out standing in the field. A typing error occurred, and the faint underlining.
You see how many different examples it gives you right here? Maybe you meant Feled. I don't know. But if you meant Feled, then you select number 1. You better be in a different country if you meant Feled. I don't know. But they meant field. So it gives you, or you know, it could have been field. So it's always thinking ahead of, well, did you just put the ED, or did you mean something totally different in field? Okay?
In red is calling that to your attention as you type. The correction is also being offered on the AutoMagic list. Just press 9. AutoMagic also integrates type over tracking. My Steno for Technological and my Steno for Tool are very close to one another, so I tend to replace one of these words with the other. Eclipse tracks that type over, and AutoMagic offers it as a choice.
You understand what it's saying there? Maybe he uses that stroke as technological. You add the A, and now it's tool. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? Y'all do it that way in your theory? Anywho. No, but I mean, you know, I'm just giving you, they're giving you an example right there. And maybe you've already changed it one time. That it meant tool. But it kept coming up technological because that's the way you stroke technological. And it's the correct way of stroking technological. But you left the A off one other time, so now it's already thinking ahead. You've already changed it once. Did you mean tool this time too? So it's always thinking ahead. So the more you use the software, the more it knows what you're doing. Does that make sense? Okay.
If I press 7, that makes the correction. And here again, AutoMagic is watching for punctuation that might need to be inserted. One last correction here. Let's assume that this is not misspelled, but the reporter didn't have an alphabet that included hyphens. Pressing 3 would stitch with hyphens. Pressing 4 would...
You see what it's doing there? So if they said, well, spell the name of that town again. And maybe she's not or he's not a very good speller. You spell what you write, what they spelled. Okay? It's not your job to correct them. Okay? And she or he, she or maybe he, she, maybe he, spelled it that way. You spell it the way that they were supposed to, and when they spell, you stitch. Okay? That shows that they're spelling. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not correct. So it even gives you the correct way of the word. If it knows it, it'll give you the correct spelling and say, you know what, did you mean it this way? Yeah, you know what, I did mean it that way. I forgot and left off one T. So then you select number 4, it puts Lafayette down here, but he or she spelled it. Now it's going to give you this with the extra T stitched in the next little thing once you change it. It's always thinking ahead. Always. You in the front.
If the testimony was an incorrect spelling, you
Leave it.
yeah.
You leave it. So if they spelled it like that, you leave it like that. Okay? If you were going too fast or too slow and didn't put the extra T, which was the correct way of spelling it, then it's going to tell you, hey, look, you misspelled it. Did you mean Lafayette with 2 T's, the correct way of spelling it? Or did you mean it like that? And if you meant it like that, did you mean to stitch it? Okay?
actually correct the spelling. If I just go back, pressing 3 would now stitch this spelling. These are just some of the ways that Automagic takes advantage of the spelling checker and type over tracking features built into Eclipse.
Any questions right there?
No.
Pretty simple. But, I mean, good stuff right there, guys. It, you know, important stuff. Okay, any questions about prefixes and suffixes? Pretty important little exercise there, so any questions about that?
No.
No? All right. All right. Now they're going to talk about speakers and how you do different speakers, how you define different speakers, you know, stuff like that, okay? Pay attention, guys. This is pretty important. This is real important.
Let's see how Eclipse makes it easy to keep track of speakers. Track of speakers. In this example, I wrote the word objection, but I didn't have time to identify the speaker. To insert the speaker paragraph, I could either use the speed key F2, or I could open the Format menu and select Speaker. If the speaker's name is already on the list, I can select it by either using the mouse to point and click, or by pressing the number next to the name. However, when I enter this dialog, Eclipse is ready for me to start typing to add a new name to the list. I could then close the dialog by either pressing the Enter key or clicking on the OK button. The name gets added to the speaker list and to my document. As of Eclipse version 4.3, the speaker list offers the option to let you display a seating chart. But this is the topic of a separate visualizer presentation.
Understand? I'm going to go over it again because they were covering some important stuff. So I'm going to go over and kind of stop on some of the highlighted and highlight some of the stuff that they were talking about.
Let's see how Eclipse makes it easy to keep track of speakers. Track of speakers. In this example, I wrote the word objection, but I didn't have time to identify the speaker. To insert the speaker paragraph, I could either use the speed key F2, or I could open the Format menu and select Speaker.
So if you ever forget how to do something, that's what these little icons are for. Okay? And all you have to do is open them, and you know, if you want to find out how to move right, left, up, down, or you want to find out how to do the speakers, answer, question, a fixed paragraph, stuff like that, it's going to give you the speed keys for it. Okay? The speed key for the speakers is F2. Are y'all in Eclipse right now? Are you in this this certain little lesson, or y'all just in Eclipse?
I'm in the lesson.
In the lesson.
Okay, push F2. Push F2, see what happens. Does it open up the speaker box?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. It may not do it for me because I'm in the lesson itself. Let me see. No, it won't let me do it because I'm playing the video. So it won't let me do it. But that's how you do it.
If the speaker's name is
And this is what it's going to look like. Okay? So it's going to have your speakers 1 through 9, whatever, and it's going to use the things that you use the most. I have a lot of speakers, and I'm going to show you here in just a second some of my speakers or whatever, and then it's going to show you how to change them here in just a second.
already on the list, I can select it by either using the mouse to point and click or by pressing the number next to the name. However, when I enter this dialog, Eclipse is ready for me to start typing to add a new name to the list. I could then close the dialog by either pressing the Enter key or clicking on the OK button.
Okay, say you're in a paragraph down here and Mrs. Sutherland came in and you hadn't defined her yet. Well, she spoke up and you didn't have time to hit, let's just say you didn't have time to hit her speaker symbol. Well, you know that it was her. You have to put her in there. So what you do is F2 brings you to the speaker list and it brings you to a prompt right here. You type in Mrs. Sutherland, enter, and it puts her name in there. So the next time it comes up, your speaker symbol was speaker number 4. So you global it, which is Control G, global the speaker 4, push F2 to open up your speaker thing. You know that it's Mrs. Sutherland, so you can bring your arrow right here and highlight it, or the easier way, just push number 4 because it's Mrs. Sutherland. Puts it in the little box that you highlighted, that you globaled. It asks you, is that what you want to do? Yes. Do you want it in your main? Absolutely not. Control J puts it in your job dictionary, because unless you're taking the deposition with Mrs. Sutherland every single time, and you're not, probably, then you don't want to put it in your main dictionary as speaker number 4. Okay? All right.
Name gets added to the speaker list and to my document. As of Eclipse version 4.3, the speaker list offers the option to let you display a seating chart. But this is the topic of a separate visualizer present.
So you can have like different seating charts of where people sit and put it in different colors. And when you put, I've never used it, guys. I'll be honest with you guys. Never used it. But if you want to, it's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat little thing. You select the color, whatever. But I mean, it's just going to make it harder because then you have to go click on it, then push enter or whatever. The other way, you bring up your speaker tab, push the number, and it automatically goes. There's not a color tab on your computer. So when you do the coloring, it's a little bit different, but it knows. You know what? Speaker number 4 was Mrs. Sutherland. She's the red, pink, whatever you want to call it. You know, so you know, and you know they're seated in that way, so you know what the speaker symbol is for each one. Okay? So say you take a break and Mrs. Sutherland is sitting over here now, and they put the witness over here, then you still know what Mrs. Sutherland is. She's still speaker 4, so you know in your head, you know what? She's always going to be speaker 4 because I already have it defined as speaker 4. She's not going to be the witness, but I have the witness over here. Doesn't matter. She's not the witness. She's the attorney. Okay? So, you know, that's how you kind of keep track of things. Okay? It's just an easy way of keeping track of things. I've never used it, but I mean, you know, when you start taking depositions or sitting in court, and you guys, you know, some of you guys have been in my court, you can come to my court again and I'll show you the seating pattern that I use for everybody, and it's the same every time. I always know the state's going to be here, the child's ad litem over here, mom and dad's attorney or attorneys are over here, so I already know 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I have more, then I have more speakers. Okay? All right. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Okay. This is the way that you're going to define if you have certain speakers. Like say you have a lady and you know that her name is Mrs. Robertson. Well, you don't want to stroke out Mrs. Robertson every time. because it's going to come out Mrs. Robertson and not as a speaker. Say you want to use something as a speaker identification. You've already used, I have 4. Attorney 1, 2, 3, 4 symbols, and then I have 1 for the court. 1 for the witness. You have a videographer, it's vid. Then you start having to think of things. So like me, like if somebody comes in, they just start speaking, it's like, oh, you look at them, and to me, it's the first thing that comes to mind. You know, and if you know, she were to walk in, it'd be black, just because her shirt stands out more than anything, you know, maybe when I'm looking at her. Or, you know, green, or glass, because she's wearing glasses. You know, perp for purple. You know, the first thing that comes to mind, if it's hair, you know, sometimes maybe they have a loud hairdo, you know, I'll push hair. It's the first thing that when you look at that person, you're going to remember, oh, hair, or whatever, or brown, because they're wearing a brown suit, or blue, because, you know, maybe her eyes are super blue or whatever. I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is usually what I use, okay? So that's what they're doing right here. Mrs. Robertson came in, there's too many people. Well, I need to be able to define her every time. So I'm going to put Bob for Mrs. Robertson. So every time Mrs. Robertson speaks, I put Bob, go on, and then that's how I define, and then every time it's going to come up like this, by Mrs. Robertson. Okay? Does that make sense? This is the way that it's set up. Bracket, S, because it means that it's a speaker symbol, colon, which is always going to be put in there. So whenever you put the speaker symbol, it's always going to put the S colon, Mrs. Robertson. Say you want it in colloquy. Well, in colloquy, when it comes up, it's Mrs. Robertson, and there's a colon out here. You don't have to put the colon. It already knows to put the colon. So if you put the colon, then it's going to have 2 colons out there. Okay? Don't want that. So don't overthink things. And that's what it's telling you right here. Do not put a colon after a speaker's name. Eclipse knows that the speaker ID requires a separate character. Okay? Any questions about that?
Let's see how braces are used for special text within dictionary entries. Text within dictionary entries. Eclipse dictionary entries use braces to surround text that must not be inserted literally. This includes paragraph symbols, punctuation marks, prefixes, suffixes, and other entries that you don't necessarily make every day. The Globaling and Dictionary Entries dialogues offer help for creating special entries. You can either press Ctrl-E or drop down the list. Where entries require you to type, as in the case of a suffix.
Very important thing right here, guys. Very important. Write it down. E on when you global something.
Where entries require you to or drop down the list. Ways you can
So Control-E is going to be special entries. So it's going to have everything that you pretty much need. Speakers, prefixes, suffixes. So it already puts it in there for you. It already sets it up for you. It already knows, you know, I want it as a prefix. If you forget, drop this thing down, Control-E, prefix. It already puts a symbol in there for what you need for the prefix, and then you put whatever prefix you need. Okay? Pretty cool little thing. And you'll see in just a second.
Either press Control-E or drop down.
See how many different things it gives you? For delete a space, prefix, suffix, glue something, cap next, cap previous, question, answer, speakers. It already tells you how to set it up. All you have to do is select the one, and usually it's the letter. Usually it's the first little letter right here. And if it doesn't, then, you know, say it comes here, but you wanted the speaker paragraph, then you just highlight speaker paragraph, go to speaker paragraph if that's what you want. Okay? So if you ever kind of forget, that's the special entries. That makes sense? Because all of these are special entries. If you want to, you know, change the font, bold something, you want it in bold, but it's like, man, I don't know how to bold something. I know you kind of highlight it, which is F7, but I mean, what do you do after that? How do you bold it? Well, I guess I can come up here and figure out in the tools, you know, what I need to do. No, just come down here, highlight it, global it, which is what?
Control G.
Control G. Special entry is what?
Control E.
Control E. Pick whatever you need. You need it underlined, bold, italic, normal, font number, auto include, any of that stuff. A fixed paragraph, parenthetical, a fixed line. It has all of that stuff, guys. And it even has more entries down here. You can see that it didn't come all the way down. So it even has more entries than that. So mess around with this week. Just go in there. And you can global anything. You know, go through your practice, just global something, Control E, and just go through all the things and mess with it. Highlight it, bold it, put it in parentheses, I don't care. I mean, you know, whatever you want to do with it. Whatever you want to do, just mess around with that stuff just to see what it does. It's not going to hurt it because it's in something that's, you know, it's not a test or whatever. It's just some practice stuff that you're using. So mess around with the stuff and the practice stuff that you're using. Okay?
The list, where entries require you to type, as in the case of a suffix, your cursor is automatically positioned at the spot where you need to type.
You see what I'm talking about? It automatically puts it in there and it puts the cursor exactly where you need it, and then all you do is just type whatever you need to put in there. So it makes it really easy. Okay? So you don't have to remember a lot of this stuff. They kind of give you shortcuts to all of this stuff. So you don't have to remember everything. Okay?
Type text. While globaling, you can use shortcuts to insert symbols for paragraphs or punctuation. Thus, F2 opens the speaker list so you can choose a name that's already there or insert a new one. F3 inserts the symbol for a question, and F4 an answer. To insert the symbol for a comma, press Control comma. Likewise, Control period.
That's another easy way of doing it too. Okay? Control. Control whatever. Control on the punctuations, when it's globaled, will automatically put it in there too. Or you global it and go to special entries, which is what?
Control E.
Control E, and it'll do the same thing too. It'll show you how to do all of that stuff anyway. But Control period will automatically put the period in there. And it's going to set it up correctly. That's the correct way. Bracket, period, bracket. No space. Okay?
For a quick question mark, press Control/. There's also Control semicolon and Control colon, which would involve the Shift key. Control tip.
You understand why they told you that right there on the question?
There's also
Where he said Control/. If you look down on your computer, it has the question mark and the slash mark. So the Control/ is what he was talking about. Okay? For the question mark. Okay?
Control semicolon and Control colon, which would involve the Shift key. Control tilde inserts the symbol for a lock space. However, if you have an entire phrase whose words you want to keep together, you can use the lock button. Press the lock button again, and you'll get hyphens.
You see what it's doing there? Lock. Lock does that. Puts them together. Puts a dash. Any of that stuff, okay? Pretty neat little thing right there. You want to remember that too.
You can use the lock button. Press the lock button again, and you'll get hyphens. Press it a third time to get back to regular spaces. It's a bunch of shortcuts, but it can really save you time.
And it's pretty neat, guys. Mess around with that. It's pretty cool. But you have to highlight or global, which is Control G about 3 or 4 times, put 3 or 4 words in there, and that's how you would do it. You have to have a couple of words in there for it to do it, because if not, it's not going to know to lock one word. Okay? Any questions about that? Pretty neat stuff right there. Okay, and this is just kind of an example or a little exercise on how to do it. So you do the Control G, G. Well, maybe you didn't do it. Okay, maybe you've already done it, and maybe you push Bob and then Bop. So you did, instead of doing Bob Bob, you did Bob Bop. You know, and just misstroked it, you know, whatever. Well, you've already defined it once, Bob, Bob. It's already guessing what you want to do, okay? So all you do is select number 1. That's what you want. It gives you a preview of what you need to do. Do you want it in your main dictionary? Absolutely not. So now you push Control J and you just put it in a job dictionary, okay? Understand? You see how it set it up? This is colloquy right here. It just set it up in colloquy. All right? Same thing with black, black. Highlight, highlight. This was Mrs. Smith or Mr. Smith, you know, whatever. Well, you know what? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was... Maybe it was Mr. Zarate, okay? All you have to do is change it like that. Pick Mr. Smith, put your cursor in here, backspace. So if you don't want to add this whole thing again, that's all you have to do, okay? Put it in there, enter. There you have it. All right? Any questions on speakers?
Let's see some of the choices that AutoMagic offers at the start or end of a paragraph. Here, end of a paragraph. Here, my cursor's on the very beginning of this speaker paragraph. Pressing 2 would give this paragraph to the second speaker on the speaker list.
Say you're taking a deposition. Most of the time there's only going to be 2 attorneys, you know, in a deposition. Sometimes there's 3, 4, whatever. Most of the time there's going to be 2. The guy taking the deposition and the guy who represents the guy who's taking the deposition, or the other side.
The deponent.
Yeah. So it's going to be the plaintiff and the defendant's attorney. Okay? Not real hard. Well, say you've already entered it. Okay? Well, you put Mr. Smith up here, but it really wasn't Mr. Smith. It was Mr. Jones who was talking. It already knows that you only have 2 speakers in there. So if you highlight the speaker, then it's already going to give you the examples of you only have 2. What did you want? Or did you want to go back and say attorney 1, attorney 2? Or did you mean Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones? Well, you meant Mr. Jones. No problem. Push number 2, automatically puts it in there.
Pressing 3 would open the speaker list so I could choose someone else. Other choices make it easy to join this paragraph to a preceding one, or to change it to any other kind of paragraph in the system. And the info bar is showing the keyboard shortcuts for these functions. This time my cursor is on the first word of the paragraph. At this spot, pressing 4 would change this to a byline using the speaker question format. Let's change this
See what it did right there? Y'all see what it did? You in the back? You see what it did? I guess not. I'm going to take the silence as a no.
the paragraph.
Say you want to do a byline right here. Mr. Smith is the one asking the questions. You know, well, you set it up as colloquy because you push the symbol for Mr. Smith, but you didn't push the question. No big deal. Put your cursor right here. What's the symbol for question? F3. Puts it down here. Or you can select number 4, that it's on a byline. A byline means that it's by questions by Mr. Smith asking the question. And that's exactly what it's going to do right here.
This spot, pressing 4 would change this to a byline using the speaker question format.
See that? By Mr. Smith, question, there you go. That's what it means. Okay? So whenever you have a question at the start of something, say, you know, the judge is saying, okay, I swore in the witness, go ahead, Mr. Smith, start asking questions. You put the symbol for Mr. Smith, forgot to hit the question mark, so now you have it like this. It's supposed to be question. It's supposed to be like this. Then that's what you do. You come over here, select the byline. If not, then you just go to the word. Mr. Smith is over here. You put your cursor right here on O. Press what is it for question? Huh?
F3.
F3. F3 brings it down here, puts it by Mr. Smith. This is a question mark. On the farm, on the farming, yes. Okay? Y'all get that?
Let's change this speaker paragraph to an answer. I'll press the 7 key. We saw one byline format, now let's see another. I'll press 1 to turn this into a byline in the question speaker format, and pressing 2 would indicate that Mr. Jones is asking the question.
You see what it's saying there? So if it automatically changed and now Mr. Jones is asking the questions and you want to change it, but you just started putting question answer, you never put, you know, a speaker identification, then this is the way you do it. Open F2, select whatever speaker you want, puts it in there, the question comes down, now it's in a byline. Okay? And if it doesn't come up in a byline, then more than likely it's going to give it to you in the auto magic. Do you want a byline? Yes, I do. Okay?
Different byline formats very easily inserted. This time let's go to the end of a paragraph. That's where you'll often want to insert a block of text from a file. So the number 1 choice is to read in text from a block file. But maybe you want to change the sentence to end with a question mark or a dash. AutoMagic is offering these shortcuts, but it's also teaching the hyperkeys or speed keys. These are just some of the choices that AutoMagic offers, because Eclipse understands the kinds of editing that you might need to do at the start or end of a paragraph.
Any questions about that? This is just kind of giving you examples right here. This isn't the way that it should be set up. But let's see if it'll do it. Yeah. See how it changed it? This is the way that it should be set up. Not like this. Okay? You see that? So that's the way that it should be set up, is in colloquy like that. Alright? I think what they're wanting you to do. No. I don't know what they're wanting you to do right there. But that's the way that it's set up. Okay, here they're going to talk about the different colors. If you want to use the seating chart, the color chart, or whatever, they're going to explain that to you right here.
Let's see how to change speakers within Total Eclipse. This answer needs to be changed to a speaker paragraph. Here's a keyboard method in case you'd rather not use the mouse. Simply place your cursor in this first line and press the home key twice. Then press F2 to see the speaker list.
Did y'all get that? If you press the home key twice, it'll automatically take you to the speaker. If you kind of arrow over, it's not going to do it. So you try to arrow over, it's only going to stay in the text part of the document. It's never going to go into the speaker. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes? Okay. Huh? Okay.
First line and
Okay, say you wanted to change it from right here, and you wanted to go to the answer symbol or whatever. Press home twice. It's never going to come to the answer. It's never going to come to the question if you just arrow over. You have to get over there or put your arrow there and left click on there, then it'll highlight. Or you push home twice and home will get you in there. Okay? That's what it's saying. Pressing home twice gets you into, I don't know, I kind of call it unrestricted areas or whatever, but it's where, question, answer, speakers, stuff like that. Okay?
and press the home key twice. Then press F2 to see the speaker list. To select Ms. Sutherland, I could press the 4 key, which is the number next to her name, then press the Enter key. But there's also a mouse method. Simply click on the paragraph button and select Speaker. OK. Then use the mouse to point and click. OK.
You see what it did right there? So it changed the paragraph, the question answer.
OK.
It totally changed it to a speaker line. And that's going to tell you right there what kind of line you have. You have an answer line, question line, speaker line. Speaker line, speaker line, speaker. Okay? So you're always going to know what kind of, little paragraph you have right here. So if you need something centered, you come over here also. Click onto that little thing. It's going to open a box and it's going to show you, I need to center it, and it centers it. Okay? Or Alt-C centers it. Should be Alt-C. Are y'all in the thing itself?
Yes.
Try doing that, Alt-C. See if it does it, and then just push Z and it should put it back. Does it do it?
Yes.
Okay. So Alt-Z centers it also. Or you can come over here with the mouse, click on it, and then it opens a box and you select it.
I want to be able to use a set of editing shortcuts that are built into the default Total Eclipse keyboard setup. In other words, I want to be able to press Control-1 from anywhere in this paragraph and have it change to Speaker 1. So I don't want to be confused by the order in which speakers' names happen to be listed. Let's see how to change speakers into the default Total Eclipse keyboard. Use the mouse to point and click. OK. I want to be able to use a set of editing shortcuts that are built into the default Total Eclipse keyboard setup.
You see what it's telling you there? There's already shortcuts that are set up for it. Okay? So if you don't want to go through and you want to change it to Speaker 1, you've already defined Speaker 1 as Mr. Jones, then all you have to do is press Control 1. You don't have to go F2, arrow down to Mr. Jones, or select number 4. All you have to do is remember that he was Speaker 1. Control 1 automatically puts it in there. Control 2 is Speaker 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess 7 is getting out of Eclipse or going into Eclipse. 8 is the court. 9 are the speakers. 10 is the witness. Okay? Or 0. I'm sorry, 0. Control 0. Control O. Control 0. Not Control O. Not the letter O. Control 0. Okay? So that's the shortcut for those. Pretty neat. Write that down. Or don't. Whatever.
In other words, I want to be able to press Control 1 from anywhere in this paragraph and have it change to speaker 1. So I don't want to be confused by the order in which speakers' names happen to be listed.
All right? Any questions about anything there? No?
Try it out.
I'm sorry?
So just have to try it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty neat.
It's very easy to change paragraph labels that contain a misspelled speaker's name. Just press speaker's name. Just press F2 to open the speaker table. Then select the name you want to change. By the way, you can also open the change dialog by double-clicking on a speaker's name. Type the new name and press OK. Usually you'll make the change throughout all the documents. But let's say that you've used this.
You see what they're saying there? Say you had Mr.
Type the new.
Tiramisu,
Yeah.
okay? And you typed it Tiromsu throughout the whole document. You typed it. And you don't want to have to go through the whole document and go through each page and try to find Mr. Tiramisu because you stroked it wrong. This is the way that you do it, okay? I'm going to back up a little bit. Listen carefully.
Change. By the way, you can also open the speaker table. Then select the name you want to change. By the way, you can also open the change dialog by double-clicking on a speaker's name.
You see what it was saying there too? So say the speaker, you're in the document itself. Click on the speaker twice and it automatically opens up the speaker box, okay? And then this is how you change it. Go to change.
Name. Type the new name and press OK. Usually you'll make the change throughout all the documents. But let's say that you've used the same steno to identify an attorney throughout the day, but at lunch he or she is replaced by a colleague. You could use the forward button to change the speaker's name only from lunch forward.
You see what they're saying there? Guys, I have that happen quite a bit with the DAs that come in, or whatever, and somebody's kid gets sick, whatever, so they have to sit in for somebody else. And we just did it today, where one of the DAs sat in this morning on a hearing that we heard for 3 hours this morning, and she had to end up leaving. So then another attorney came in, and that's okay. You either, one, think of a totally different symbol for that attorney, which is fine, or if they sit in the same place, which for me is easier for me because I always know that it's a state children's attorney, mom and dad's attorney, so I always know that they're attorney number one. The state's always attorney number one. And I just want to keep it simple. This is the way you do it. Okay? Go through, click on it, opens it up. It tells you Mrs. Calvert. Well, it's not Mrs. Calvert anymore. It's Mr. McClinchy. He came in and sat in for her. So now I change it to Mr. McClinchy. I don't want it changed throughout the whole document because Miss Calvert did the morning. Mr. McClinchy's going to do from here on. So now you just want it forward. Okay? Be very careful with that because if you push all, then it's going to change it throughout the whole document. And you don't want it throughout the whole document. You just want it from there down. Okay?
The change is instant and even affects byline paragraphs that reference the speaker's name. Let's take a closer look at the dialogue used to change a speaker name. It does much more. For instance, you could set up shortcuts way beyond 9. You could also select special colors to identify speakers.
You see what it's telling you there? You come here, select, which highlight it, come to change, and it gives you a myriad of things that you can change. Okay? You can change, it has little shortcuts.
Beyond 9.
It has little shortcuts right here. So really it only goes to 9. From 0 to 9, so it gives you 10. You have 10 examples, and I'm gonna open up mine, and I'm gonna show you how many I have. I have a bunch. So usually my speakers are down here. So I have Mr. McClinchy, Mr. Byington, Mr. Garcia, and Mrs. Rayford right here. Well, they don't have a symbol. So every time I open this box, now I have to come down here, highlight this thing, and push enter. No. No. This is what this allows you to do. You push change, come up here. You can't use a number anymore because you've already used all of your numbers, which is fine. But you can change it. You can change it if you want to, but say I still need these other things also. Then I start using letters. A, B, C, D. That gives you, you know, another set of things to be able to use, and it's, you know, so you have what, 26 letters, so you have 26 more speaker things that you can use.
I just entered 10 on this one. You said you used all the numbers.
Yeah.
And before you said that, I just entered 10 and it came up. So can you have more than 9?
Really, you can't, because once you push 1, it's going to come here. Maybe you can. I guess you can. You're going to have to push 1, 1, and then it'll come down here, ask you if you want it. So it's not, you're almost going to do like a,
No,
yeah.
I understand why you said
Yeah.
use 0 through 9. And
Y'all understand
use
what
11.
she said? She used number 10, but once you push 1 as the shortcut, it's going to come here and highlight that. Then you're going to push 0, then it's going to come down here and highlight the other one. Guys, you just defeated the purpose of making a shortcut. It's not a shortcut anymore. Because like when you open it up, you go number 1, it goes number 1, Mr. Johnson, boom, it's already in there. It's not asking you if you want it. It already did it. Okay? But now you have 10, so now it's going to highlight 1. Well, you press 0, so now it's going to come down here to 10 and highlight 10 and say, is this what you meant? So now you're kind of defeating the purpose. So that's why they only give you the 10 from 0 to 9. Okay? You can put 10, but you just kind of defeated the purpose of doing the shortcut. Okay?
Now, you could also select special colors to identify speakers and set up speaker groups.
You see how they did the different color? You just press color, select whatever color you want, whatever. Kind of defeats the purpose because there's not a color button on your computer. So now you have to go with your mouse, click on the color, and do it from there. Okay?
There are also buttons on the speaker list dialog that make it easy to reorganize the order in which the names appear. Additional functions of the speaker list are described in the presentation on pre-translation speaker setup.
Y'all understand what they were saying right there? I'm going to back it up just a bit.
There are also buttons on the speak.
So say you have 12 or 15 speakers. Well, you know what? I don't want to have to use A or 10, 11, 12, whatever. I want it to be number 1 because I'm going to use that one a lot. I know that we're going to use Mr. Johnson, Mr. Green, Miss Sutherland, and Mr. Izod. Okay? So what you can do is, you know what? I know that I'm going to use Mr. Izod, and I know that he's speaker number 4. So I want to keep him as number 4. So you click on Mr. Izod, push move up. He comes up to number 4. Once he gets to number 4, you're good. So every time you know that he's speaker 4, it just makes it easy. So that's how you do it. Pretty easy stuff. Mess around with that. Mess around with that this weekend. It's actually pretty cool. Any questions about speakers? Okay. That's all for this week. That covers everything that we're going to cover for this week. All right? Any questions about the stuff that we covered tonight? I know we covered a lot. Huh?
Just try it out.
Yeah, just try it out, guys.
Okay.
And like I told you, I'm not telling you this because it's going to make me any more money or because it makes me popular. The way that you get to know this software more is by using it. The more you use it, the more familiar you're going to become with it. And I'm telling you, you know it now, but if you don't use it, you're going to forget it.
Do you want the list of punctuation for everybody?
Yeah, if you can do it, that'd be great.
Done.
If y'all can wait around a second, my lovely assistant just printed the things for the punctuation. So,
You can take a copy off the printer as it comes.
yeah. Any questions about anything, guys? Nope?